What's up YouTube? This is Ribo at the kitchen table, and today I want to do a quick discussion video trying to answer the question, is the Delica 4 still a good knife in 2019? Before I get into that, wristwatch check, wearing the SKX 009 Sapphire Crystal on the stock Jubilee jangly bracelet. It is awesome, love this watch, love the Pepsi bezel, just another great SKX. Alrighty, so why am I asking the question? So I think in the recent years, the Delica 4 has been disparaged quite a bit for a couple different reasons. Some of them fair, some of them not, and that's kind of what I wanted to get into today. But in recent years, I think it's pretty much agreement across the knife world that Spyderco has really hit its stride. They've figured out that people love lightweight budget folders like this that just get the job done. And they've done that in a lot of great ways with wire clips, real lightweight knives, different FRN scales, sprint runs, etc. And so they've got fantastic knives like this, the Dragonfly 2, which is just a fantastic knife. It's also a VG10 steel, super lightweight, very ergonomic. They've figured out this finger choil here, which can also be seen on the Para 3 lightweight. So this is probably the best example recently. This is what I think everyone is talking about when they say, Spyderco is at their stride. This is really everything Spyderco does well in one little package, and you can have it for under $100. You also see this in something like the Chaparral, which is in my pocket right now. This is a back lock as well. It's got an upgraded steel, very, very, very thin. Also has the wire clip, and this is also under $100. I want to say under $90. And so, Spyderco has just really, really started to figure out that people like lightweight knives, good steels, and just ergonomics. And so they've done that very well. And what that means is for a knife like this, the Delica, and the Delica 4 to be exact, it's a little bit outdated, or at least it feels that way to a lot of people. This has been a standard for a long time. It has been a very good knife for Spyderco. I want to say it's been their most popular model ever, and everyone has one, and everyone loves it, or at least they did until recently. So a quick overview of the Delica. Obviously, everyone knows this. Spyderco, it's VG10 steel, backlock, really nice backlock actually. FRN scales, comes in lots of different combinations of steels and colors, but VG10 is what is considered stock on these. Got the typical Spyderco blade here with the Spidey hole, and on the regular Spyderco, you will get the spoon clip. This has been sanded down so I can match the blade color and the backlock color. I do not understand why Spyderco still sells them with the black spoon clips. It makes no sense to me at all. Doesn't look right on pretty much everyone that I see. But the Delica 4 is just a nice, lightweight, feels good in the hands, ergonomic, budget, and I'm saying budget loosely there, but under $100 folder. And so for a long time, when you would put this up against something else, and really any other budget folder from any other company, if you could pay $60, $65 for something like this, you really couldn't beat that anywhere. Yes, you could maybe get some nicer steels, but as an overall package, you couldn't do much better than this knife. And so in recent years, Spyderco, like I said, has released this under $100. They've released this under $100. They've got something like the Dragonfly 2, which I want to say is around $60. And so a lot of people are saying that, the Delica 4 is now overpriced. And indeed, Spyderco has been raising the price, and I think these now go for like $78. And so the question has been coming up, is the Delica 4 really a good option for people? And I would say a resounding yes. Absolutely, the Delica 4 is overpriced at this point if you're talking about what you get in one package versus other offerings from Spyderco and maybe even some other companies. However, that doesn't make it a bad knife. It's a fantastic knife. This was my first Delica 4, and this got me into Spyderco's to the point that I now own 3, 6, probably 7 Spyderco's, and I'm sure that's not going to be the last one. I'm wearing a Spyderco shirt right now. I absolutely love Spyderco as a brand, and it all started because of the Delica. And in that way, I think the Delica is a gateway drug into Spyderco. It is the perfect knife for the average person to show what can be had in a knife like this. It feels great in the pocket. They make a very efficient use of space, although not quite as efficient as they can, and they've shown that with something like the Chaparral. There's absolutely leftover space here. I've always had centering issues with backlocks. The spoon clip is not great. I mean, there are definitely things to critique, but on the whole, this knife stays in people's pockets because it is a fantastic knife. I recently picked this one up used, and it just really kind of showed me why I love the Delica to start with. And it kind of, I went into honeymoon phase all over again. Because even though if you look at the Delica and you put it up against something like the Para 3 Lightweight, and I'm going to say if you put it up against the Chaparral, ergonomically, I think these two have advancements that is probably coming in a Delica 5 if we ever get a Delica 5. Most likely, if I had to guess, they would replace this little place here with something like this finger choil and just make it all the more ergonomic. I think if we were going to have a Delica 5, we would have probably a wire clip that would come standard and potentially upgraded steel at this point. VG10 is perfectly fine. It's absolutely serviceable. You'll have to sharpen it a little bit more, but it's fairly rust resistant, and it's all around, pretty good. I think that when the Chaparral came out in particular, and I fell into this train as well, you can look at this like it's a Delica killer. You can look at this and say, look, it gives pretty much everything Delica does in a smaller package with a better steel, and it's thinner and it's lighter, and it's really like $10 more. But I think these are really entirely different knives, and I do carry the Chaparral quite a bit. But to be honest with you, the Chaparral, while it has a better steel, is more likely to rust. I had to tear this thing down last night after a trip to the beach because I noticed that it was starting to get some rust spots down in the pivot here. And so I had to clean that up, and I have noticed that it has a tendency to rust and to even have blade marks, although maybe those are gone now. But I have noticed a little bit of difference in the steel. The VG10 is kind of idiot-proof. It's a great steel. You can beat it up. You'll have to sharpen it a little bit, but overall, it's a fantastic steel, and it holds up, to pretty much any challenge. The blade shape on this is fantastic. You're getting a ton of cutting edge. The Chaparral is also just a fantastic slicer, but you are losing some of the cutting edge and getting a little bit more width. And so all three of these are great knives. If you are trying to get the most knife that you can in the smallest package, the Chaparral is going to make sense. If you're trying to get a bigger knife, more ergonomic, you're trying to get everything Spyderco does well, you want a deep carry clip, a bigger knife, etc., this is a great option, and for maybe $20 more, you can have this. But I think the Delica 4 still holds up today. I think it still holds up to competition outside of Spyderco, and I think it still makes sense in some cases internal to Spyderco. I have all these different knives and a couple others, and while I don't have all of the Spyderco knives, I still find myself going to the Delica over these two from time to time. There are situations where I, want to grab, if I'm around the house and I'm going to be doing big cutting, I definitely want this one. If I'm going to be out and I have a lot of things in my pocket and I just want space, I'm going to grab this one because it's so efficient. But this has gotten a lot more pocket time recently, and I think it's because it's so comfortable to use. It's very easy. The backlock is a very easy system. It's not going to intimidate people. The knife is big enough to do what you need to do without looking scary. While you can flick this open like that, I guess it's hard to do on camera, it's not really a knife made to be deployed like that. And so, in my opinion, it's just an overall less intimidating knife to people who may not be knife people. And so in that respect, I think it's still a fantastic gateway drug. Even though the prices have gone up, you can get these on the secondary market. I think it's just an ode to how great Spyderco is, that they can create something like this that's in its fourth iteration, and it's still relevant in 2019, even when they've developed things like these two knives. I think this still holds a different place in somebody's pocket than one of these. although you may disagree. And I think many people do now. But this is my opinion. I think the Spyderco Delica 4 is still a fantastic knife. I hope that we get a Delica 5. I hope that it has a better pocket clip, maybe improved steel. I hope it's still a backlock. That's one thing I wanted to say real quick. One of the things that I absolutely do love about the Delica 4 when put up against the Chaparral is that the backlock on this is so nice. It is just very smooth, very easy. It falls shut, at least to halfway point, whereas the Chaparral is very tight. I mean, this is an efficient knife, like I said. Everything is kind of tightly screwed down there, and it is very tight. And I can open this and I can shake it, and it's still going to require me to kind of push this down, and it hasn't loosened up at all. The Delica came a little bit tight, but it's loosened up, and it just feels like an old friend, if that makes sense. And so I say, people disparage the Delica. They say it's really not worth the $78 or whatever they're asking for it. But I would say that doesn't mean it's not a good knife. It may mean it's overpriced. It absolutely does not mean it's not a good knife. And so if you love the Delica, keep carrying it. I know that I will. It's been a fantastic knife to the point that I have two, although I'll probably sell this one. And I highly recommend it still. So Spyderco, well done. You've made a great product. I hope to get a Delica 5 one day, and I'm sure that I will have many more in the future. All right, that is my long-winded answer. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.